Hi, so this here is a Kenyan troop convoy, part of the East African Community Regional Force, and here it was filmed about 20 kilometers north of Goma City in the region of Kibumba, and this is after the M23 Rebels ceded this territory. So they withdrew from this territory and handed it over to the Kenyan troops, which are now part of the East African Community Regional Force. And this Kenyan convoy, as you can see, is still moving further north. At this point, they were moving north to the military camp of Rumangabo. So this was a former Congolese army military camp that the M23 rebels captured. And it said that the M23 rebels lost close to 200 fighters trying to capture this military camp from the Congolese army, the FRDC. So for them, this was a strategic asset. The fact that they're handing it over to the Kenyans, it means that it's kind of a gesture that they want peace or they want negotiations. And it's still sentimental because when they were giving the interview, they said that if they ever find out or they hear that this camp was handed over to the Congolese army before the negotiations, then the M23 will break this ceasefire and come back and try to take this camp again. So it's a very tight situation because the M23 are also issuing demands or threats as they cede these territories. And most villagers who live around Kibumba and those who live around this Rumangabo camp say that when they go to the forest or they go to tend their farms, they come across the M23 fighters. As you can see in this video here, you can see the M23 fighters with their signature Rwandan uniform and their signature green rubber boots. So here they were filmed while they were pretending that they are retreating from these regions towards the Rwandan border. No one knows the truth, but I want to believe the villagers and the Kinshasa government that keeps insisting that these guys are not actually retreating. They're just moving away from one position and going to another hill. While all this is happening, the M23 political wing, their leaders, met the chief negotiator for this peace talks, Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president of Kenya, and they met in Kenya in the city of Mombasa. And in that meeting, they agreed to withdraw from all territories, all regions that they had captured when they started this campaign. Remember, when they started, they captured the town of Bunagana. And there's a border post called the Bunagana border post on the border of Congo and Uganda. So that's where they started when they started this campaign. And they have agreed to also withdraw from that region and from that town. Let me show you something, an illustration, so that you get the picture of these regions that we are talking about. As you can see here, this is the Goma city, the city of Goma, a huge city, a city of about 1 million people. So it's a huge city, and this was what the M23 had intended to capture before the Kenyan and other East African countries intervened. So as you can see the other side, you can see the name Gisenyi. So this is the city of Goma, and let me just try. So this side, one side, this side is the Congolese side, this side is the Rwandan side. And the convoy I was talking about was filmed. You follow this highway. So there's a highway here, a tiny highway, and you follow it to this region here. So the convoy was here in Kibumba. So this is the first territory that the M23 rebels ceded, or they withdraw from this area. So as you can see, this whole area, they withdrew from this area, as you can see. And the convoy was still moving further north after accepting this region and stationing some troops in this region, in this town of Kibumba. The convoy was moving further north to another town, which is where you find the military camp of Rumangabo. And they were moving up, following this highway to this region, this here, this Rumangabo, and this is the town of Rumangabo, and they were coming to this base here. This is a military base. If you can look closely, that's the military base. So you can see this side, these are barracks. This one, these are military barracks, and this side the same, and here the same thing. I mean, administration block, And basically this is the camp. This is the camp that the M23 took from the Congolese army. They fought to have this camp, and they have given up this camp and withdrawn from this region, from this town of Rumangabo, and they have moved back to the Rwandan side, according to the information. So this is what is happening. This is the camp that they have left and handed it over to the Kenyan troops, the East African Community, regional force. And from the other news is that further north, where the M23 started, they had captured the border town of Bunagana. So further north, the M23 had captured Bunagana. So it is here. This is where they had captured the town of Bunagana. This is where they started. So they had captured this town of Bunagana, which is a town found on the border of Congo. So this is RDC, Republic Democratic du Congo, basically DRC. This is the border posts. This is the customs office. And the other side of this border, this is the Ugandan side. So Bunagana is a border post. As you can see, these are trucks awaiting to be cleared so that they can enter Congo. And the M23 are currently controlling this town. They're also currently controlling the flow of goods on this border point. So they have agreed to also withdraw from this town of Bunagana. That's what they agreed today when they met in Mombasa. So that's what I was talking about. You have to have a very broad picture of what you're talking about, the towns that we are discussing, the regions that we are discussing, from Goma to this region. These are the regions that the M23 had captured. So if you look at the distance from Goma to Bunagana here, that's around almost 60 kilometers. That's the distance from where they started to the intended objective, the town of Goma. And they were here. Don't forget where they were. Before they started with the withdrawal, they were here, about 20 kilometers here. They were here in Kibumba. They were here. So they were very close to the city of Goma.